everyone. This is the Serial Storytelling Panel. I'm Rachel Akas. I will be your moderator, and today we're going to talk to you about why serial storytelling is growing in popularity, why it's a blast to write, and why writers should be giving it a shot if they haven't already. So with me, I've got three stellar serial storytellers, and we'll start off with Anthea Sharp. She's a USA Today bestselling author of the Phelan series, as well as many other books. She has serialized her first Phelan book on Phelan book on Wattpad, and has over 1 million reads there. Fantastic. She's also serialized stories on Royal Road and Radish. And I believe you have Vella coming up too, right?
Yes, we will see.
Yeah. Next up, we got Terry Mixon. He's #1 best-selling military science fiction author of more than 3 dozen, or that's Kevin.
Probably 25 for me. He's got like 80 books. He's got 80 books.
Yeah.
He knows how many books he's written.
Yeah. So Terry's a noob with only 25 books. And as well as doing an extensive career with the Army and NASA and International Space Station and all that cool stuff. I'm very, very jealous. So, but Terry's written his first 4 novels under a pen name as Serials. So he joined the serial storytelling game before a lot of people have. So, and then of course we got Kevin McLaughlin that I started to say. So Kevin's our USA Today bestselling author too, of more than 3 dozen science fiction and fantasy novels. And you've done serials through Kindle, Patreon, which I think is unique with this group, and you're getting ready to launch on Vella too, which I think will be a popular discussion topic today since they're getting ready to go live.
We're actually going to be at 7 dozen this month novels.
So I was way out. I figured that.
That was an old bio, I think.
Yeah, move over the classics of Barbara Cartland and all those that wrote like hundreds of novels.
Way to go to catch up with her.
Yeah, but you'll do it. You're way ahead of her at that age. So. All right, so we'll go ahead. Oh, I guess I should say I'm Rachel Akas. I am your moderator, as I said before. I've got about 30 books out in various, mostly science fiction and fantasy, a little bit of horror. And I am a Wattpad star, so I've published several novels through serialization through there. I have about 7 million reads, I think, on Wattpad now. So I enjoy serial storytelling, so I can't wait for this panel for us to talk about it. So let's first set the stage and talk about it to the audience about what serial storytelling even is. So with this group here, how would you define serial storytelling? You know, what does it mean to you versus other modes of storytelling?
One of the biggest differences between serial storytelling and just telling a novel type story is that there's this gap between the release of episodes. You can't have somebody get to the end of an episode and then go, oh, I'll just flip to the next chapter. And oh, wait, there's no next chapter yet. I've got to wait 2 days for that. So you've got to have, in my mind, serial storytelling has more of a hook at the end of every episode to help pull you over for that little gap so that you're ready for that next episode. So you're jonesing for the next hit.
And we have a great, the early roots of serial storytelling, which of course is Dickens, comes immediately to mind with serializing his stories in the newspaper, in the weekly evening news, and exactly that, leaving that cliffhanger, leaving everyone just dying to know what's going to happen next. Also, he was paid by the word, which I think is very interesting and kind of speaks a little bit to form follows function, or in this case, payment, right?
Yeah, I think that it's worth remembering that there's like 2 different kinds of serials, and they're kind of related to each other too. Like the Lord of the Rings trilogy is essentially a serial. Well, it's really one big book that was broken up into several sections, which is sort of the definition. Then there's the serial that's like the weekly TV show, or the monthly episode of Farmer in the Sky printed in Boy's Life each month for like a couple of years, stuff like that. And we've been doing this for forever, like since Dickens, since before Dickens. And I think it can be a lot of fun. There's so much wealth of background of experience we can draw from.
You could probably go all the way back to Homer, and the Odyssey is pretty much like this big, long, serialized probably over the length of many, many nights in front of the Colosseum campfire or whatever. Like, what's the next installment of this hero's crazy journey he's on? So.
Yeah, that is a fun point, because it really does serialize fiction in a way. If you look far enough back before the written form, it does almost feel like campfire stories that just, you say the first piece there and then continue on to the next. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So I've always seen them, as a TV episode, but it's true. They go so many different ways, because it's more about the delivery of the story, the delivery model that you're choosing, than the actual story itself. Although, I mean, obviously you have to leave a piece in every single episode or serial to draw in the next crowd. But yeah.
I might differ with that opinion just a little bit and say that episodic versus serial, they are still slightly different. Having your show of the week is perhaps not the same thing. It's the overarching plot lines that carry over from one episode to the next that help make something more serialized than perhaps just having an episode following another episode.
Right. Well, I would consider Lord of the Rings to be a serial, but I would consider James Bond to not be.
Yeah, and I was really struck. I thought of Lord of the Rings as a serial, but you can't really, you can't choose to read right? You need the whole entire arc because it moves very episodically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we're already surprising the audience. I see we have our first comment saying it's a lot different than when they looked up to, and it is. It depends on how you look at it. Obviously, we'll be talking today about the main platforms you use. Without a doubt, the one thing serial storytelling is a paced release schedule, of how we're all looking at it today and discussing it from a writer's perspective. But from the story content perspective, yeah, there's been a lot of stories put out that no one would ever guess that they were first serialized, because now they're available as a movie or a novel, like Green Mile by Stephen King. When I saw that movie, I never knew that it was posted as serials. And so, yeah, it's a lot of neat stuff like that. So let's talk about, because it has become popular. I mean, there is a gazillion platforms out there now for it. Why do you think it has become so popular? Is it something about our culture today, our readership? What is your thoughts on that one?
I think the bite-sized, that people live more episodically now, actually, in a lot of ways, and a lot of the media. I think TV definitely plays into that, or web series, graphic novels, things where you have like little smaller informational chunks, and then you get a breather, but you're still engaged. Yeah, so I have readers who say, who has time to sit down and tackle a whole novel? But if you get your little bite-fed serialized chunks, it's easier. But.
I think that serials have grown and faded in popularity over time, but I think that they pretty much have always been with us, straight back on from those campfire stories where the person says, find out what happens tomorrow night, tune in tomorrow night, find out the next bit. And then oh my gosh, I got to make up the next bit. But, then we had Penny Dreadfuls and, the serialized stuff in the 1800s. And that led into the pulp era where we saw serials everywhere. And then economic reasons ended the pulp era. But then we had things pop up in TV with the soap operas and stuff, which are just another form of serial. So I don't know that it's ever gone away. I think it's just changed form over time. And right now we're, of course, entering into a new, I would call it a golden age of serials, given that we're seeing $300 and $400 million purchases of some of the serial sites right now.
Yeah, definitely the delivery of serials have evolved over time, just like Kevin says. And we are entering the electronic age of the serial. We've probably already been in it. I haven't paid attention to what's going on in serials for half a decade, so I missed that it was growing so large. I'm excited to get back to this format.
Good. Same. Yeah. So is that why you chose? Because all of you are entering Vella, I think, soon. The Amazon's approach at serial fiction. Is that what drew you into serializing, with Vella and your other platforms?
I had a story that I wanted to tell that doesn't fit into the genre that I write my novels in. And I saw Vella and I said, this is the perfect opportunity to give a heart project the life that it wasn't going to get as a novel.
I have a similar, I wrote a short story, the the Airship Adventures of Captain Jane Fury. Short story, very fun, pulpy steampunk, kind of one off. And when I was done, I was definitely thinking this would be such a fun, it lends itself perfectly to serialization, but I didn't really have the bandwidth. I didn't necessarily want to write it and put it out there. And then when Kindle Vella came up with the platform I'm interested in exploring, we all know as authors that often early adopters on Amazon get a little leg up on getting poised and ready to just jump right on the Vella bandwagon with a project that, is not in my main novel wheelhouse, kind of a fun side thing.
I'm a little bit different from these two. A good solid chunk of what I write has always been in a format that would work with serials. So I could take like at least half of the novels I've written over.
We lost your audio.
Kevin, for some reason you just got knocked onto mute.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Now I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I lost my headset, my headphones. But
You sound better though.
The regular speaker will work. Oh, I sound better now?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, well my headphones just came back on.
But we can hear you. That's what counts.
Fun with
So
tech.
you just
you muted again.
No. Yeah.
So what I was saying, with Vella, I'm just actually launching 5 new series and I'm launching them on Vella. So once I have enough chapters written, episodes written to make them into novels, if they're not doing well on Vella, I will pull them down and I will put them up as regular books. But if Vella's doing really great, honestly, I'll leave them there forever and keep on writing episodes for them. I love this style of storytelling. I really always have. I was writing serial novelettes back before it was cool in like 2013, 2014. So,
Rachel, are you going to jump on the Vella bandwagon too? Or?
I'm not right away. So I'll be not one of the early adopters. I'm still pretty committed with Wattpad. They keep me busy. As a Wattpad star, it just means I have a manager assigned to me and I receive like assignments and opportunities and I do some ghostwriting for brands. And so some of that stuff. So it keeps me busy. So I didn't want to spread myself too thin. But the one thing, I moved into serial fiction to try out, ideas and things that, if I publish as a novel, I might have to consider doing through a pen name or I just wanted to try it out because it is a fun way to write. It's also a great way at building, I'm a procrastinator and I'm really bad when it comes to deadlines. So when you're posting serial fiction, you've got to stick to your deadline. Otherwise, people are not going to trust you and read your story. They'll just wait till it's completely done. So it also is very good at helping build a release work ethic, I guess.
I think that's true. Kevin, I was struck a little by, I think so my serial adventures on Wattpad and also on Radish, which is more romance focused, have really been more taking an already written novel and serializing it. So my first Phelan book, The Dark Realm, which I serialized on Wattpad, basically just put up a chapter at a time. And so it wasn't written to the serial format. It was taking an already published novel and then serializing it. And then it was about Terry, like the form of just, you don't get it all at once. You get an episode, a chapter as it were.
I could do that, but I make a lot of money off of Kindle Unlimited every year, and that exclusivity clause just makes it really, really hard to get away from it. When I've got, all my series are still actually selling pretty regularly, and I would have to be making a lot of money on those other serial sites in order to make that worthwhile.
Right. I've always been wide with a very few short little stints in KU. So I think I actually started going on Wattpad in 2012. So, early days.
The only way I've been able to satisfy my serial publishing format is to behind the paywall at Patreon. They get my chapters as I write them, and then I take them down when I publish the book in KU.
Mm-hmm. And Royal Road is that's the big serial site for lit RPG and game lit, and a lot of people get their start and actually audience build on Royal Road, but release into Kindle Unlimited, and at that point take down their Royal Road project and move into paid.
Yeah, I know Athon, one of my publishers, they've been picking up a lot of Royal Road writers and been releasing them now on Amazon, and they have been doing amazing. Yes. Yeah, that book has just rocked the whole Amazon store and still does. So yeah, it's amazing because they built up their readership at Royal Road, and to be able to switch it over to, and see the readers follow it is awesome to see.
One of the books that I'm listening to in audio right now is Lit RPG, and it was released on Royal Road first. It's interesting watching the chapter numbers continue to climb even as you change books. So just finished book 9. It's like chapter 700.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we just had a comment come in from the audience. Do you try to average a chapter every 3 days or once a week? What seems to be the standard? Just started reading on Royal Road recently. And for starters, I think that varies very much by platform. I know on Wattpad, at least 2 times a week is the ideal schedule, and to have the days scheduled, like Tuesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday. Your readers want to know on Wattpad exactly when it's going to be published or released, posted, and they even want to know time if you can. If you say, I'll do it in the afternoon on Tuesdays or in the evenings. I mean, the readers there are rabid. They watch for the stories that's on their watch list, and they're waiting for that. So I know that's how Wattpad works, and I can't speak to the other platforms. So other panelists.
It depends, and it depends on the work as well, and also how quickly. So Radish, for example, recommends that you get 5 episodes up right away and then start publishing. And I think they recommend a twice a week publication schedule as well at the same time. And actually Radish has an interesting thing where a little chat room opens, or like event room opens upon the publication, where you can interact with your followers or your readers for that little short period of time. And so there's actually like you get a room when your new chapter or your newest episode goes live.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That is neat. So Kevin and Terry, you both do it through Patreon or have done it. How does that work for a release schedule? What's the expectations there? Because that's a whole different model.
I've seen people do anything from an episode a week to like a chapter a week to 3 chapters a week. Seems to be the usual range that I see. The folks who do more seem to do better, and the folks who release regularly and don't miss their dates also seem to do better, from what I've seen. Right?
For me on Patreon, I'm publishing novel chapters, and I'm also publishing serial chapters. So I'm doing basically 6 releases a week right now, and I can't keep that up. I'm going to run out of content here fairly quickly. The way that I've got it figured I'm going to do when I start publishing the serial is 2 a week, because I just can't sustain 3 a week with the length that these episodes are coming out. I expected the episodes to be shorter. That is not how it turns out. My scenes in my novels are shorter, and the ones in the serial are half again bigger on average.
That's ironic.
Interesting. Yeah, I had one serial. I was trying to go longer. I wanted to get like the 4,000 plus word range, and no, it was done at 2,000. Where the first one was done at 2,000 words. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's what I'm doing now.
My average novel the chapter has 2 scenes in it, and they run 12 to 1,500 words. So I expected an episode in Vella to be about the same, and it's ending up averaging 2,500 words per episode scene.
But that is interesting because one of the things that Amazon is doing that the other apps are not doing is pegging the coins that readers are going to spend based on your word count. So you're not necessarily hurting yourself by going longer under the Vella scenario.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy with that. I just don't want to start out with 3 chapters a week and then fail to meet that obligation. So I'll start with 2. If somewhere down the road I build up a tremendous backlog of episodes, maybe I'll bump that up to 3.
I would say, begin as you intend to go on. Definitely.
Yeah, because I think kind of what Terry had hinted at is burnout is a very real thing with serial fiction. I mean, it's one thing when you write a novel, the readers don't see it until it's gone through, 12 different steps of editing, proofing, beta, all of that, preparing it for publishing. But when it's serial fiction, you've got readers following you every step of the way. And if you miss a date, all of a sudden you start readers clamor and say, well, where is this? I want to see it. And they don't generally care what's going on in your life. You might be moving or, something bad happened or you're just overstressed on stuff or sick. Yeah, it can, serial fiction, if you don't manage yourself and manage your time, it can burn you out.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to do 5 Vella serials, but for clarity for the viewers, the 2 of them I already have 40 episodes written of. So one of them got like 43, and the other one's at 41, I think, or something like that. So those ones are already sat for a really long time. That means I've only got to really worry about the other 3 for the immediate future, and I'll probably cancel early anything that just doesn't really take off, and just continue with the ones that are still working.
How will you know what takes off? We have no idea how Bella's going to work.
The ones that are paying me well 3 months in have taken off. Yeah. The ones that are not paying me well didn't. If it's not working by 3 months after launch, a Vella as a whole is not working by 3 months after launch, I might give it 6. I'm definitely not giving it longer than that. Before I just take the books and put them up on KU regularly, or put them up as regular books. There's no harm for me in giving this a try because if it flops, I'll just go with them as regular books instead.
I'm going to end up writing 3 novels worth of this, even though it's going to be an endless serial. There are certain breakpoints where it's going to make a novel there, and after that it doesn't work. Then I take it down, and I've got 3 novels that I can publish in fairly short order.
Yeah. Yeah. So really, it's almost an experiment. Is what I'm hearing is.
That's what it is for me. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But there are other serialization places that if Vella doesn't make it, I mean, they're every week you hear about a new proliferation of, there's tapas and there's web novel and there's crazy. And they're all being already bought up by larger conglomerates, which I find very interesting in terms of like the market viability of this as a model.
And the price tag, because nobody spends $400 million on a company that they think that there isn't going to make them back a lot more than that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because Wattpad just got bought and Wattpad started up Tapas and they have several others before they merged with Webtoons. And yeah, it's amazing. There is a lot of platforms out there, but they're whittled down to a few companies. So let's talk about platforms. We've got the Vella, we've got Patreon, Wattpad, World Road, Radish. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite, or is it like having multiple children and you can't have favorites then?
I like Wattpad just because I had a lot of fun there in the early days of serialization. I reached a lot of, since I write young adult, I felt like it was almost like a library, a way to reach those young adult readers who weren't buying books. And at that point, I was pretty much strictly digital. And the thing I love about Wattpad that I think not all the serialization apps have is that really great feedback ability, which I would love for us to talk about a little bit too, of how much do you like open the door and let the readers kind of weigh in, and how much does that affect you going forward into your serialized work? That's another can of worms.
In the beginning, when I was doing serialized with a larger audience, it was something that I paid close attention to because I was learning how to write. I was using it for feedback as I learned how to be a better storyteller. And so when they said, hey, I love this, or I hated that, or I wish I could see more of this, I'd give it some weight and I'd consider whether or not it actually served the story. And sometimes I'd give them what they wanted.
Nice. Yeah. Terry, I love that your cat joins us because he's the cutest stinking thing ever.
This is Mimi. She's a cutie.
Paw reaching over.
Yeah, like, Paw, don't ignore me.
Hey, Popo. He's so cute.
Yeah.
Boy, two questions, I guess. So, which do we like best? I am only on Patreon and Vella right now, so I've got a lot of things to choose from. I actually don't like Patreon all that much. I keep on thinking that I would be better off putting up my own website and getting people over there, because every single person I've got on Patreon was driven there from my email list, not from Patreon members. So I'm not picking up extra people by being there, and I'm paying them money for being there. I'm paying them a share of my income for being there. And I don't know. I've waffled about it a lot. I mean, we can still put stuff up on Vella and these other sites if they're on our personal website, as long as it's behind a paywall, just like everything else. I haven't decided yet to make the jump. My favorite thing about Patreon is the interaction, the comments, the ability to leave comments, then comment back and put hearts and likes and stuff like that. So that kind of interaction stuff is actually, I'm really fond of that.
Yeah, that's one thing I did like about Wattpad. I don't use the feedback. I mean, I interact with readers. They post comments throughout the stories, is how Wattpad works. So they could, if they like some sentence or I kill off a character, that always draws a lot of comments. It's fun to read through those and I can reply to them, but I don't use the feedback generally to shape the novel or shape the story. I know some writers do, and they kind of write to the readers then, which kind of takes it to a whole new level of the whole right to market concept. But it doesn't work with me because I kind of know where the story goes and I'm following the character rather than my readers. And yeah, my characters don't always do what I want them to do either. But yeah.
As we all know.
Yeah.
One of the things that Patreon is useful for me is it forces me to write. Even when I don't feel like I want to write, I have somebody that I started Patreon because I knew that if I had a judge sitting there saying, where's my stuff, I'm going to produce.
Yeah. And Corey, I see your comment in the comment section about all the Babylon 5 and yeah, all of that would be serial writing with how they did the episodes.
For sure. Yeah.
Straczynski. I can read stuff. I can't say stuff. That's why I'm a writer. I'm not an audiobook narrator. The platforms, I know we talked about our favorite platforms, but one thing to touch on too is picking your platform to write on really depends on what kind of story you want to write, the genre and everything. Because Anthea, you mentioned Royal Road is all lit RPG or game lit. Wattpad, without a doubt, its readership is 14-year-old girls. That sounds weird, but if you're looking at their median reader, that's what it is on the demographics. And when you post a story, there is a page that shows you all the demographics of the readers. And that's one thing I love. I a lot of times will post a short story or a novel before I publish it. And because it gives me a chance to look at the readership to see if it's right in line with what I expected the demographics to be, because that helps me with book covers and marketing and so on. So I do use sometimes Wattpad and all of, take advantage of their free stats before to help with my publishing strategy.
I think Radish, people said, why did they name it Radish? And the general consensus is like spicy little bites. right? A hot little crunch. Radish tends to be much more on the spicy romance side and really catering to those readers. So
Yeah, that one's definitely known for the romance. Yeah.
What about Tapas?
So Tapas is a phone app. So it is set up purely as your stories told like you're writing it in the iPhone message app, and it's all the dialogue done that way. And so it's great for suspense. It's great for, like, oh my gosh, someone just broke into the house type thing, and it's told in that way. I set up an account to try it, but then never really got around to it, and finally gave up because I decided I'm like, just didn't have the right storyline idea.
One of the
and there's
questions
definitely
Go
there's
ahead.
that time cost of how we can't be on all the platforms, even though we might want to put our fingers in every pie. So making that determination of what is the serial platform to go to. Sorry,
so as a writer, to pick your platform as a writer, you definitely need to know what genre you're going to write, what type of story. Because webtoons, I mean, obviously, if you want to write comics or graphic novels, that's the platform you want to go to. It all depends. Vella, I think, is probably wide open since it's an Amazon platform, but they still have a certain readership that reads Kindle Unlimited and Kindle. So you're still going for that, sci-fi and romance.
It'll be very interesting to see who is the biggest uptake on Kindle Vella. I don't think it's going to necessarily mirror Kindle Unlimited at all, because KU tends to be whale readers, and the whale readers want to get all their books for free for one price. Vella's going to
and they want to binge.
Yeah, they want to binge. They want all of their stuff, and they want it now. They want a book. They want a 10-book series, and they want it yesterday. The KU readers are the ones who are like, okay, I know you released the book yesterday, but I finished it today. So where's the next one?
Yes.
So I don't know if we're going to see necessarily the same readership, but it'll be interesting to see what we do see.
What I think might be interesting to see is if Vella takes off and you can have the content behind other paywalls, how that might change places like Radish. If a lot of people say, I'm publishing on Vella, I might as well publish it on Radish, even though it's not what's currently hot on Radish, it might get a bunch of inflow into those other paywalled platforms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Vella paying people and all that. I imagine that's going to take quite a hit from Wattpad because when I was on Wattpad, when I first joined the STAR program, one of the perks of it was I got paid advertising. So all the ads that they posted in my stories, I was making money off of. But then they did away with that a couple of years ago. And, I've gone to different revenue models on it. And there's fewer revenue models for people posting on like Wattpad. So it's, places like Vella are much, definitely look shiny for writers then if you can make money off something that you're going to write anyway or want to try.
Yep, kitty butt.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a comment from James about giving feedback on a story, which definitely, as authors, I know personally, I like to hear from readers, particularly if there's some valid concerns about, a typo or a grammatical thing. But it's true that the leave feedback button on Amazon actually is, then that can throw your book into, as an author, it can throw you into quality control issue, and it can just be a bad thing all around. So James, thank you for your attempts to leave feedback.
Please just send the author an email. Don't use the Amazon.
Yeah.
It's really actually way easier for us to fix it off of an email than for us to fix it off of Amazon's thingy.
Yeah. Amazon could totally revamp their stuff, but they're not always for the best approach. All right, so this panel is all about the creative track. So I know a lot of everyone who's watching this are writers or involved in creative or interested in writing. So let's talk about it from that perspective. Why should, if you're going to recommend a writer to try serialized fiction, give them a reason why to try it.
It's fun. I mean, it can challenge you, and particularly for the monetized sites, you have to keep your reader engaged and wanting to read. So it really forces you to up your game a little bit, I think. Okay, that's true for like any platform like Kindle Unlimited, et cetera. But the interesting thing about the serialization apps, at least like in Radish, you can see how many people are moving through from episode to episode. You can see the reader response. So you really get a real-time feedback on how am I doing? Am I keeping people moving through? Oh, I had this huge drop-off at this one chapter. Why? Go back in, try and fix it. So it can be really, I think from a craft angle, give you some really good perspective and feedback just on pacing, on being very hooky, on putting in lots of reader candy.
Yeah,
that in a nutshell. The single piece of data that Amazon has always had on Kindle that I've always wished that they would release to authors is where readers stop, where they pause to go to sleep for the night or whatever. Why did they pause right there? Why was that an appropriate pause spot? But more importantly, where did they put the book down and then never pick it up again? I want to know that. I want to know exactly where those readers are dropping, because if they're all dropping at about the same spot, then that's a problem, and I can learn from that and do better next time. And with Vella, I'll be able to see it in almost real time. With Patreon, it's not as obvious because they tend to stick around a little bit better, and I don't have as many. I don't have a huge Patreon, but so I would know if like if you had a big Patreon, all of a sudden 10 people leave this week. Well, you did something wrong, but I don't know what it was. But with Vella, I'll be able to see like in real time what people are reading, and that's great in the moment feedback.
I certainly hope that we get that level of detail. I'm half afraid that they're just going to give us a number of tokens that we earned a month and not tell us where they came from.
Wow, that's probably what they're going to do.
Yeah, Amazon, you almost have to pull the data usually for a month.
Sorry for that.
Yeah.
With Radish, you can see that episode per episode, and then also with Wattpad, how many reads you get, and what are the scenes or the places that people are commenting. Where are you getting a lot of engagement? I have a riddle early on, and everybody tries and guesses the riddle in the comments, before the reveal happens later on. Just that kind of like what's keeping people really engaged.
Yeah.
That's
I think Vella needs to compete with the other serialized sites. They're going to have to start coming up with some of those metrics, because I know with Wattpad, I love all the metrics I get.
Well, if they don't provide us the metrics, I'm just going to provide them for myself. Probably, I'll make the author notes being like, "Hey, anybody who reads this, send me a picture of your cat or whatever, and I'll enter you in for a drawing for a free book. And then I'll know based on how many emails I've gotten for each episode. Maybe not do that for every episode, for every song or something like that. I'll know where my drop offs are a little bit."
Yeah. I see a comment.
Plenty. We're an unofficial rescue, so we've got plenty of cats.
Oh, sweet.
Oh,
well, they don't look abused at your home. They look well loved. We do have another comment, a question asking if there's going to be a review or rating page for each episode on Vella, or if it's only going to be on the series, kind of probably like how they do books now. And does anyone know that answer yet?
I think there is, because when you publish your episode, there's a place where you can mark if you want to see feedback on it or not, right? Does that ring a bell for you guys?
No.
Someone jump in. Okay, I'll jump in on my Vella dashboard and see what I can find here.
What readers are going to be able to do is they're going to be able to star episodes that they like, and they're going to be able to do, I forget what the other one is. There's some other feature where they can like a serial as a whole too. And so you're going to have two different reader metrics, but there are only a certain number. Like the one is unlimited, like you can star every episode you like. But the other thing, and I forget what it's called now, is a limited, that you have a limited number of them that they're allowed to do. So they have to think more carefully about that.
Yeah. So we'll find out on a lot of it then. Writing serialized fiction. One thing I wanted to mention that I don't think's popped up yet is, it's great for experimenting with new ideas, but if you're already an established writer, you have a series published, you're on Kindle or Wide, doesn't matter. and you just want to draw in some new readers, serial fiction's great for posting like a novelette or short story in serialized form, or even just a serial of a different character within your world, because you get access to a whole new group of readers. With that said, it depends on the platform of how many will go through and buy, because, I've noticed on Wattpad, being younger readers, a lot of them are not ebook buyers. I sell more paperbacks, it seems like, off the books that I post there. So it depends on the platform you go to, but it can be a good way of drawing more attention into your series, because Amazon might, require exclusivity to be in Kindle Select and Kindle Unlimited on a specific novel, but they can't do it on a serialized novella or something that you do related to it.
One of the things that
what
you just said sparked in my mind is that Star Trek has an animated series called Lower Decks. It's a bunch of lower leveled people. If you're writing a space opera series, you could have an accompanying serial with lower ranked, lower deck people still following the same plot line, seeing events from a totally different perspective. And you could have like side by side parallel plots.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
It gives you something to do and still stick within, if you're really trying to build up a specific world or have been successful.
Okay, so I looked up the Vella thing.
And then
tell us more.
Is that disappointing?
I looked up the Vella liking thing or what have you. They're doing thumbs up likes, and they're doing faves. And if you you have to pay to unlock at least one episode a week to get a fave for the week. So as every reader pays for one episode on any given week, they get one fave. And there's actually a window that where the Amazon will ask the Vella reader if they, to pick one of the episodes that they read this week, one of the serials they read this week, and fave it, which will presumably make them more visible to other readers, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. I assume go into their algorithms beyond just most read. It's also most favorited, different lists.
Well, and they are such an algorithmic, data-driven, cross-referential company that makes a ton of sense. And the thing that I went and looked at my dashboard real quick, and so there is the ability to leave an author note at the end of every episode, which is where, Kevin, you'll be saying, send your cat picture, and I'll enter you in my drawing.
And then Terry will send 20 cat pictures.
Right.
All the cats.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be wrapping up here in under about 7 minutes, it looks like. So for the audience, if you have any last questions, and I'll be sure to post a comment. During this time, I will ask the panelists here to share one tip. What's one tip a writer could, who wants to serialize a story, how can you help them? What's a tip you recommend for them?
Had a lot of fun, already written work, and breaking it up, and particularly for Radish, because they recommend 1,200 to like 2,400 words as your episode length, and they really cap it at a specific length. You can't be too small, you can't be too long. And then taking your already written work and see how does that pace and how does it divide up, and how do you find those really natural sort of cliffhangery points. So maybe this harkens back more to the craft side of things, of how does serialization and craft come together. But just start thinking in terms of keeping your claws in the reader, really.
Kevin?
Pick something that you really think you're going to love a lot. Pick something that you think is going to have some legs to it, because some of the most successful serials out there that I've seen, because I've been studying them on all these other sites, and some of the ones I'm seeing that are doing super, super well have over 1,000 episodes. And that's not even weird. That's not unusual, which is so cool. But pick something that you think has legs and that you don't think you're going to get bored with, 1,000,000 words.
1,000 episodes.
Yeah. And just like be ready to switch if it stops being fun, but ideally pick something that'll work for the long haul.
My
Right,
advice
Terry?
is don't launch unless you've got enough backlog to get you through the rough times. Whatever your writing speed is, make sure you've got a month and a half, 2 months worth of episodes in the can, ready to go, just to deal with life, because life is going to deal with you.
Yeah, that's a great point. You can never forget or underestimate the human part of your life. I would say, finally, and it kind of ties to the craft side or the story content, is with each episode, kind of make it a fulfilling piece to where they read it, they feel like they are getting a good, kind of full story of sorts out of it, but also whet their appetite for the next episode. Give them a little cliffhanger in the overarching story, but those two pieces is going to be what gets your readers coming back time and again, I think, for your serials, is they need to feel, complete after every time they read one of your works, but also really excited to go read the next one and be nagging you to go read the next one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so no questions, it looks like, on the comments. So let's wrap up and go through each of you, talk about what, maybe a newest release and where people can find you. So Anthea.
My newest release is White as Frost, book 1 in the Darkwood trilogy, which is a fairy tale retelling of Snow White and Rose Red. And you can find me at antheasharp.com. And on Wattpad, my first 2 Phelan books are up on Wattpad. You can read them for free. And you can also find me on Radish as Anthea Lawson, writing spicy historical romance. And come leave some comments.
Yeah. Kevin.
Well, my most recent stuff has actually all been out through LMBPN. And where I've been working with Michael Enderle on the Children of Tiamat series, but Children of Tiamat universe, I guess, is like 24 books at this point, and growing. But so that's been really fun. But in terms of Vella, I've got Titan Online on Patreon, and that's going to go up on Vella too, or we're started on it. So that'll be a good place to look for me too.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And Terry, let's pause you 1 second, because we do have a question that came in from the audience, is will you pay for a book cover to be the face of your Vella story? That's a good question, because I've seen what they give you.
Go ahead.
My answer is that it's going to be no text on it. So I found a suitable image in stock that I can use that will cover it. And that's all I'm going to do.
Yep, I think you have to something not lame. You be pretty competitive, and there are a lot of the cover designers are already designing covers for Vella at a very high level. So you have to be competitive. That said, I also found a really nice piece of stock art that I think is a perfect match. So that's what I'm using.
I do about half of my own covers. I do all of my spaceship covers, and I hire out the other stuff. So I'm doing covers for the books, just like I would for Kindle. And I've bought covers for 2, and I'm gonna buy a third cover for a third serial. And what I'm doing is I'm just asking the authors to do a Vella bubble the artist rather, to do a Vella bubble when I order the covers from them. And that way, I've already got the cover set up for the paperback and the ebook when I'm ready to go with those things. But in the meantime, I've been paying the artist like an extra $20 to do a bubble for me. It's not that I can't do it myself; it's that this is their art, and so it's like an audiobook cover. It's another format, and I'm trying to give them the business. It's just a nice thing. It feels like a nice thing to do for me. But if the artist says you're okay, just make the bubble yourself, then just do that. But it just felt like a nice thing to do. But yeah, I've been buying the full outright covers, and that way, and just getting the Vella bubble as well.
Yeah. I don't think a person can be wrong being nice. So.
No, it's all. You can never go wrong by giving somebody that you're working with a little something extra.
Yes. Yeah. So Terry, where can we find you? What's your latest?
You can find me on Amazon. My latest, I think, is Imperial Recruit, the second book in my Imperial Marine saga. I also have the Empire Bones saga, which I'm just finishing writing, book 14. So it'll be out hopefully in a couple of months, but just go to Amazon. You'll find me there.
Awesome.
And that's
Thanks.
good stuff.
All right.
That's good series.
Thank you.
Yeah, Terry, it's good stuff. So, all right, yeah, and I'm Rachel Lackas. My latest release just came out last week. First book in the Space Troopers series that I'm writing with Jamie McFarlane. It's a space adventure series. It is a little bit of feel of like Starship Troopers, but a whole different with kind of expanse and other things thrown in there. So it's a stock pot of fun stuff. And I'm launching another space adventure series. Both of these series are through Athon Books, and then I've got a post-apocalyptic series and a thriller series in the works, which I'm entering into a new genre. So, yeah, that will be doing some of that with Wattpad to see how that plays out. So,
Nice.
So for the audience, for the panelists, thank you very much for being with us. I think, serial storytelling is fun. It's awesome, and you guys are awesome. And for the audience, thank you very much for joining us. And I hope you were able to pick up a few nuggets so you want to go out and start writing your serial fiction tonight. So
Have fun out there.
Have fun. That's great advice.
So all right, thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of SFFCon.
Hey, if you like that panel and you're looking to continue your author journey,
or if you're just looking for a group of like-minded people,
all striving to improve their crafts and grow as authors. Our community at KSM might just be what you're looking for
some reading, writing, and everything in between.
Come on over and join us at Keystroke Medium.